Hey everybody, welcome to our webcast on assessment and job development for transition age youth with autism spectrum disorder. My name is Erik Smith. I am an employment specialist with DidLake, an employment service organization, and I work with Project Search. Today I'll be presenting with Crystal Kauser-Hentz, who is an employment specialist with the VCU Rehabilitative Research and Training Center. So today we're going to be talking about assessment and job development with Project Search. Project Search is a 9-month vocational training program that runs through the course of a school year. It is a program that has provided by multiple sources. It's braided funded, and the way that the program runs is that over the course of the school year, interns will come to a community business, a host business site, and they'll participate in 3 10-week internships. Project Search is a very successful program when it comes to transitioning young adults into employment. Both the site that Crystal supports and the site that I support this last year had 100% placement for employment outcomes. Project Search is a program that's not available everywhere, but the principles of Project Search and the ones we'll talk about today, assessment and job development, are applicable across many different settings and are especially effective for young adults with ASD. So we're going to start with the question, why does assessment matter for young adults with ASD? Why not just find a job and skip assessment? Well, the bottom line is that match matters for young adults with ASD. And an assessment period allows for the opportunity to experience a variety of employment options for young adults. It enables the team that is serving the young adults to better understand and support the individual through the employment process. There's opportunities in assessment to identify strengths and potential problems, gathering information on job readiness, the interests and likes and dislikes of an individual to see what kind of support needs they might have for employment. And one of the most beneficial parts of an assessment process is it allows for the customization of positions to match an individual where they're at, their skills, their abilities, but also the needs of the business. And so we think assessment is vital to the success of young adults with ASD who are looking for employment. So continuing with that idea, that question of why does it matter, assessment is a very effective tool and it guides instruction, how you teach, how you show an individual and how they learn is all gained and gleaned through assessment and empowers you to instruct them effectively. The assessment also can become the basis for evaluating an individual who is pursuing employment, their progress and their performance, without the pressure of actual employment. It also provides important, effective behavioral supports. On our Project Search site, one of our Project Search sites, an individual was dealing with some behaviors that were an impediment. They were an obstruction to employment. And so you can see on this slide, there's an example of a support that was developed. This individual preferred to self-monitor their behavior. They understood that the behaviors that were in question were problematic on a job, especially in a setting where sanitization is important. And so the team identified the behaviors that they wanted to address and that they wanted to monitor. And through the assessment process, they were able to start with 100% supervision of those behaviors. They were able to help the student learn to self-identify those behaviors and then monitor them through a check system. And so over the course of the assessment period on the internships, they were able to transfer that support from the staff teaching and showing and modeling behavior and checking off that with the intern to the intern, the student, actually self-monitoring, and then when she was successful at completing her checklist, she would reward herself. And so that became an effective tool that also can be transferred into employment through self-monitoring without having to have support there all the time. So how can assessment help adults with ASD? Young adults with ASD most likely have limited work experiences. So an assessment period is a good opportunity to expose them to a variety of kinds of employment that will better help them understand what they want to do, but also help the people supporting them understand what's a good match for them. The core issues that individuals with ASD wrestle with, social communication deficits and restricted repetitive patterns of behaviors or interests, those are most likely going to have an impact on their employment. And so an assessment period offers an opportunity to discover new likes and new interests. It offers an opportunity for them to be able to communicate what their preferences are in ways other than just being able to say it verbally. And it identifies those support needs. So those challenges that they have through the assessment period can be effectively assessed and determine what supports can be put in place in order to help them overcome those obstacles in an employment setting. The other side of assessment that's very beneficial is that most likely local businesses in your area aren't aware that there is this population of individuals that are available for the labor market, for them to employ. Individuals who are excited about the potential of employment, individuals who want to get a job and they want to earn money and they want to contribute in their communities and with their families. And so assessments provide an opportunity to market young adults to those businesses, to let them know that you have individuals in your community who have the skills and the interest to be a great match with your business's needs and can benefit a local business. So assessment is also an opportunity to develop those kind of connections in the community. So the specifics of assessment, right? How do we assess work preferences and job match? We said at the beginning that match matters, and so we wanted to provide some applicable real-life ways, strategies that you can implement assessment where you're at, whether it is a project search site or not. And so we'll walk through work rotations, shadowing, interviewing, 10-week internships, and reflection and direction meeting. So let's start with work rotations. So work rotations in our setting look like short work opportunities over a few days, 2 to 3 days, with limited hours each day. And really what it boils down to is it's an opportunity to try out jobs in different places in a host business. In our setting, that's in a hospital. And so at the beginning of the internship year, at the beginning of the project search year, we have a week, 2 weeks at the beginning and a week between each internship where we'll do work rotations. Those work rotations last 2 or 3 days, and they're usually on the job somewhere between 2 and 3 hours a day. So we try to set up the work rotations to be to cover generally many of the tasks that an individual would encounter on the job in our business. So it can include a variety of opportunities to experience work, everything from office supports, stocking, cleaning, and basic customer service. Through these work rotations, we're able to assess skills and preferences and to identify possible internships and starting points for skill instruction. So many times when an intern comes to project search, what we find is that their areas of interest for employment are very limited and are typically centered around work experiences that they may have had in some kind of community-based instruction through their schooling, or they're related to the places that they go in the community on a regular basis. And so you may have an individual who comes to work and be assessed, and that they really like video games. And so they want to get a job at GameStop because they think that they're going to get to play video games at GameStop. And so through a process of assessment, you can introduce them to other work opportunities, other areas of employment that they are likely going to be able to find a match with their interests and what they enjoy doing. And so one of our individuals who wanted to be employed at GameStop, once he realized that at GameStop for employment, you don't just get to play video games all the time, we were able to walk him through a process of understanding that if he gets a job that's a good match for his job skills, he can actually earn money and then go to GameStop to buy the video games that he wants to play. So assessments provide, work rotations provide that opportunity to expose an individual to different types of work over a short period of time, and not only assess their support needs and assess their abilities, but also to introduce them to new opportunities for work. Shadowing is another technique or strategy that we use for helping introduce an individual to a new work environment or a new work opportunity. Shadowing is where an intern will observe in a department and be matched with an employee and walk through watching that employee complete their work tasks, seeing what the work environment looks like, assessing the level of environmental factors, whether it's noisy, whether it's bright, whether it's dark, if there's a lot of walking or there's more sitting down, if they work in a team or they work individually, and also the climate of the department to see what the social environment of a department looks like. If you have an individual who is very social and is motivated and that social reinforcement is important for them for work, then a department where people are working individually and away from each other and don't have a lot of social interaction, it's obviously not going to be a good match. But shadowing provides an opportunity to discover that, to see what that looks like in real time, completing real work tasks. So shadowing would enable the staff and the individual to ask questions about what kind of employment opportunity they are looking for. It can help to inform those decisions and inform whether or not that work environment is going to be appropriate and the most beneficial to their future. Interviewing is another technique that we use with our interns before they start their internships. We will, after we have gone through the process of work rotations and shadowing, and we have collectively worked together to identify a potential internship or assessment site, then before we start the assessment, we will have the individual interview with the supervisor or a coworker who could serve as a mentor in that department. Interviewing is a critical tool for developing those soft skills that are necessary when you get to job development. So including interviewing in the assessment process, even though it may be an unpaid work experience, most likely going to be an unpaid work experience, and it's going to have a definitive amount of time that they're on the job, interviewing still works to help prepare the individual for employment, to help them understand what's expected of them on the job, and it provides not only the individual who's pursuing that work opportunity benefits, but also provides the department benefits. It gives those managers or supervisors a chance to talk about what they're looking for and their expectations from the intern. It gives the intern a chance to ask questions about the work environment, who they may be working with, what kind of work are they going to be doing. It gives them a chance to practice interview skills. And it oftentimes for an individual, we will prep them in advance for this and give a framework beforehand to the department that the intern is comfortable operating within so that they're not being overwhelmed by questions that they're unprepared for. So the interview goes smoother for everybody involved. You can see an example to the right there of a framework that we've offered in our project search site to managers or supervisors who may be interviewing. And it's very simple, and that's okay. You can tailor these interview questions to the level of the individual that you're working with and what they're comfortable with, and based on their ability to field questions and answer questions. But that framework definitely makes a difference when you're going into an interview for both the interviewer and the interviewee. So next we're going to talk about the 10-week internships themselves. So remember, project search is geared towards the length of a school year, And over the course of that school year, the interns will complete 3 10-week internships through the fall, winter, and spring. The internships provide the opportunity to take that information that you've gleaned on an individual's preference and on an individual's skill level, their support needs, and match them with an in-depth, immersive work experience based on those preferences. The key goal is to have a better job match for each internship. So internship 1 is based off of a limited amount of information that you have about the individual. But after the completion of internship 1, you should be able to match that individual with a better fit on internship number 2. And then the goal is that by internship number 3, you're looking for opportunities that will potentially lead to employment. On our site, when we do third internships, our primary question we're asking is, could this be a job? And so those 10-week internships take course Monday through Friday. There's a process of coaching and teaching in a classroom setting, instruction, and then the interns will go and spend between 4 and 5 hours on the internship each day. On the internship, we use a variety of tools and strategies for assessing the performance of an intern and the progress of an intern and the development of an intern on their internship. You can see on this slide that we have the weekly evaluation form is on my right, and that weekly evaluation form is done by the team that's supporting the individual every week. We will sit down as a team and we'll review the key criteria to their performance on the job. The performance of job skills, overall production rate, accuracy, communication, interactions with supervisors and coworkers, appearance and personal hygiene, and safety. We'll rate them on a scale of 1 to 5, and then we make notes on where areas of improvement are needed, where areas of support may be needed, and then we'll review that every week with the intern so that they are aware of their progress and aware of their development. One of the neat things that we do at our site is that each week when the intern reviews their weekly ratings, they will color in each line to the number of their performance. And then over the course of the internship, they can compare where they were at the beginning and where they are at the end and see that improvement in a very concrete form and fashion. And then we share those results with the families as well. As far as on the job, on a regular basis, we're using task analysis in order to break down the tasks that the intern is performing on the job. Task analysis is key to understanding the success and progress of an individual, whether they're performing the task independently, what level of support that they're needing. You can see there on the left that there's a sample of a task analysis form, where for each task we break it down into its parts, and then through observation, we assess the individual's completion of those tasks. After a period of several days, we'll look at the results and see with what level of success that the individual is performing on tasks that the individual is having a lot of success with, completing independently with little support. We'll begin to fade support from those tasks. But the tasks that may be challenging, that they're not having success with, we'll ask questions as a team to say, why are they not able to complete this task? It may be that there's a need for a different style of teaching the task. It may be that there is, it's a non-preferred task, and so we have to ask the question about motivation. And so oftentimes what you start with as a task analysis form or a TA form, by the end has grown into the parts of the job, and then is also reusable the next time that you visit an internship site or a work site with an individual who's doing similar tasks. Another way that we assess performance on the internships is that at the beginning of the internship, at the 2-week mark, and at the end, at the 9-week mark, we offer a performance evaluation to the mentor that's overseeing the intern on the work site. And so the eval is the same eval at 2 weeks and 9 weeks, and we tell the mentor to be really honest, that we're looking for honest feedback. Don't be nice and feel like you're going to get the individual in trouble for being honest, but be honest because we want to see progress, and we know that the individual is going to have to grow through the course of the internship. And so we will use that 2-week eval and that 9-week eval as a way of assessing performance on the job, and then asking questions about the next internship. And if it's the last internship, asking questions of what does the support need to look like on the job. Another eval survey that we do is of supervisors at the very end of the internship. We also ask supervisors to rate their experience with the intern, and then that helps inform us. It's a assessment tool that helps us inform our progress and what direction to head in with the intern. Another tool that we use for assessing the development and progress of an intern is what we like to call reflection and direction meetings. So at the end of each internship or assessment, 10-week assessment period, we hold a reflection and direction meeting. This is an opportunity for the intern and the team to reflect on the work that's been done by the intern, their personal growth, the things they've learned, but also to talk about the direction that they want to head in. And so a few weeks before we get to the reflection and direction, we'll work with the individual to start to create a slideshow with pictures and descriptions of their personal life, of them working on their internship, pictures taken by the staff, and their employment and personal goals. You can see here a couple of slides of what this might look like for an individual. We include the specifics of what they did on their internships and what they might think they like to do for the next one. So even if you weren't in an internship setting, a reflection direction tool can be effective at the end of an assessment period to ask those kind of questions of what did you learn, what did you do, and what do you want to do? What do you want to learn? Where do you want to head? So at our reflection directions, the team comes together. There's the intern, their family, the project search team or the support team for the individual, as well as the staff that they've been working with. The intern will start the meeting by presenting their slideshow and talking about these things that they've gathered into their slideshow. It's actually a pretty incredible experience to see the intern do their first reflection direction meeting and see the progress to their second reflection direction meeting, and then in their third reflection direction meeting where they're brimming with confidence, they've succeeded and accomplished so much, and they're able to share honestly and openly and clearly what their preferences are, what they didn't like, and what they need to learn how to do, or what kind of job that they want. And even more importantly, what they hope and believe and dream their future will look like. What do they want to do with their paycheck? What are they going to save for? Where do they see themselves in 5 years? And so this is a great opportunity for that self-expression, that self-advocacy for an individual to say, this is what I did, and I'm proud of myself. This is what I learned, and this is what I want to do for my future. So it also provides a perfect setting for the team, for the intern, their family, and for the support team to discuss with that individual what next steps are. What are some areas they may need to focus on or work on? How can their family support their development for employment? How can they, what kind of questions should they be asking about the transition from school to life after school? And what is our plan together as a team for helping that individual to continue to work towards employment? So you can see how this is a powerful assessment tool. It is one that brings together all of these moving parts. It takes the individual strategies that may be short term and happen over the course one time or two times or three times over the course of the project search year, and take them and really bring them together in a comprehensive way so that the team can work together to benefit the individual's future. So now I'm going to turn it over to Crystal, who's going to talk about job development.
Hi, my name is Crystal Kauser-Hentz, and I'm an employment specialist with Virginia Commonwealth University Rehabilitation and Research Training Center. I'm here today to talk about job development. A lot of questions that we as employment specialists face are, why is job development so hard? So we've come up with a few reasons why, and I'm going to explain them from why we think they're hard, and then we'll go through some strategies of how to make them easier. So the first one is lack of flexibility. And lack of flexibility, we find that sometimes doing job development is not typically a 9-to-5 job. It can take you being out on a Saturday and you see that a business is hiring, and maybe you need to go follow up then, even when you're not working. We also tell families to have an approach of flexibility when looking for employment as well. You're not typically going to find the perfect schedule on your first job, and that's okay. But sometimes being flexible can lead to more employment opportunities. Navigating gatekeepers. This can be that we always don't know who the right person is to talk to when doing job development. So often, most applications are done online, and that leads to a big blank when it comes to, well, who do I follow up on this application with, or who should I speak to when I go to the business? A lot of times it takes several trips to go into the business to follow up on that application to get to the right manager or the right person in HR. Fear of rejection. A lot of times it's very hard being told no, and that's okay, because no doesn't necessarily mean never. No can mean that maybe we're not hiring right now, but come back in the spring. Or no can mean, well, I don't really understand what you're offering as far as a job coach goes, or maybe I'm not the right person to talk to. I found that it's very helpful to check in with a business a few times before determining that it just won't be possible for a job placement. And lastly is competing priorities. It's good to use a team approach when looking for a job. You should set time in your schedule to do job development and don't let it get pushed aside. Sometimes it's good to just make a list and go through with the intern and make sure that you all are on the same page as far as what everyone wants when looking for a job. Job development and young adults with ASD. We find that some of the concerns here may be that young adults with ASD have limited work experiences, and they may be missing some of those natural contacts that other adults have. They also may need help navigating the social norms when it comes to following up on applications or speaking with management. They also may need support in developing their own personal strengths and skills and trying to figure out how that can translate to employment. Employment specialists are very helpful when it comes to this and can help them determine how their skills can make them successful in the workplace. Employment specialists can also assist business in meeting their needs by identifying areas where production may be increased. A young adult with ASD may be able to increase production by being detail-oriented and assisting in different ways. Situational assessments are trial work opportunities at local businesses. Situational assessments are conducted in order to assess the skills, the strengths, the interests, and areas for support. With careful use, situational assessments can actually lead to employment. We do this by picking a strong situational assessment site, getting to know the business, and finding out what they're missing. If we can have an individual do the task that the business is missing during the situational assessment, it may lead to employment. For example, we had an intern do a situational assessment in a pharmacy. While he was in that pharmacy, we found that some of the tasks that weren't getting done were checking expiration dates and being able to log medicines that needed to be refilled. His situational assessment led to employment because once he left and his situational assessment was over, the coworkers and employees and the management found that they really needed him to be doing this job, and that led to employment. Do your job development homework. So what is job development homework? It actually serves many purposes. Job development homework first is a reminder that job development is a team experience. Job development, everyone on the team, the intern, their family, should all be helping to look for employment. It will make the process quicker. It also helps the intern and the family be involved in the job development process. It helps that their preferences and their desires for work are being expressed to the employment specialist. It also taps into the different information that the intern may have about businesses in the community or different networks that their family may have. We ask that if an intern can bring in at least one lead a week, it can benefit themselves and assist the job coach tremendously with job development. Some examples of a job development homework is that it be very, very specific. So it should list the business, the location of this business, and maybe you should be telling the job coach where to apply or how to find out more information, who to speak with. The intern and family can also seek out connections in their community as a form of job development homework. A good example is, let's say if a family frequents one business every Friday, they go out to eat every Friday, and that intern is interested in food service, speak with the people at that restaurant that you're used to going to. They're used to seeing you. You have a very pleasant experience with them because you keep going back every week. So let's find out more about what that job has to offer. Even connecting a job coach to places that you go to and that you're comfortable with in the community can lead to employment. Fieldwork. Fieldwork is another strategy that we use to make job development easier. Fieldwork is just simply taking the time to get to know the area that you're serving. It's important because if you don't know what's out there, then you can't find a job. So you should know what businesses are available, what businesses are in the area for the different interns, what they live near, what shopping centers are close by, and what stores are in those shopping centers. Just by looking around and finding what's in your area, which is field work, that can lead to a cold call. Sometimes you see, oh great, there's a store here and it's right across the street from where this intern lives. Go in the store, get to meet people there. And that cold call can lead to a business connection. And that business connection can lead to employment. Another great strategy that we found successful is a business advisory council. A business advisory council is great because it takes local businesses and it partners them with the project search site. So they have an opportunity to learn more about supported employment, and the job coach has a chance to learn more about what the business is looking for as well. If the job coach knows more about what the business is looking for, they can tailor some of the job skills that the interns are learning into being successful for when they become employed. A business advisory council meets quarterly, and they provide many different job development opportunities for the site. They have meet and greets where they can meet the interns and the interns can meet the businesses. They can do mock interviews with the different interns. Mock interviews are helpful because it gives the interns a chance to practice those interview skills with someone that they're maybe unfamiliar with or don't know as well. We've also have something called a reverse job fair. So the interns can have a chance to maybe make a board or have their resume, and they can present it to the businesses. So the business is able to see what skills that the intern has and maybe see that, oh, well, I didn't think I was looking for someone to do this, but maybe I am because your skills align with something that we're lacking at our business. We found that it's good to get local businesses involved in project search. Even if it's a few at the beginning, people tend to be connected, and maybe that business can lead to telling the job coach about other employment opportunities in the future. Okay. Another strategy that we found successful in job development is customizing employment. That means that you're designing a job with a specific client in mind. It's important for the job coach to go and enter that business and find out maybe what support the coworkers and the employees there need, or what are some of the tasks that just aren't getting done. The job coach then meets with the management there in the business and can create a position with a specific intern in mind to make that person successful at the job. For example, there's a very busy cafeteria at one of the hospitals, and the dining area of that cafeteria was an absolute mess. It was often trash left on table, food in the microwave, no napkins, no utensils. So I was able to meet with some of the staff there and figure out, why is the cafeteria so messy? And what they found is the two women that worked the cash register, it was their job to also clean the cafeteria. But once the lines got long and once they were very busy, they were unable to leave the cash register. So therefore, the dining area of the cafeteria was not getting cleaned. We had a young lady that was able to come in, and she did a long-term situational assessment, and they found that when she was there, the dining area was clean. The utensils were stocked, the napkins were stocked. They started to get more positive ratings. So I was able to work with the management there and explain to them, this wasn't getting done before she started. And now that she is here, she has a very specific eye for detail. It was a very repetitive task that she enjoyed, and everyone there seemed to enjoy her being there. The manager agreed, and they were able to create a position just for her. So her task, or she works Monday through Friday now, and her job is to clean the dining area and to stock the different utensils and napkins. This brought a better morale around the employees there, and their coworkers very much enjoy working with her because she's doing something that was very much needed in that business. Thank you everyone for taking time out of your day to watch our webcast. We hope that you found this very informative and it will be helpful going forward in the future for you. We'll be happy to take questions on the web board.